the Physical Services Committee to order. Could you please call the roll?
Counselor Van Buren.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Counselor Gozick.
Here.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the January 19th, 2016 committee meeting?
The motion.
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yep.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes. Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, moving on to new business. Item number 1, under authorization, the engineering department received a request for use of public space from Mr. Sam Natoli, owner of a single-family dwelling at 74 East 10th Street and 1/2 Street, located in the 2nd Ward. Requests the use of 7.2 foot by 61 foot between the public sidewalk and South Street line of East Van Buren Street to accommodate existing encroachment. Council.
I've been down there, looked at it, and what it is a 100-plus-year-old house built in a wrong spot. And lacking moving the house, which I seriously doubt will happen, we really need to go forward with this.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 2, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from Cassandra Rucker representing the Special Olympics to host the Oswego Polar Plunge for Special Olympics New York. The date of the event is Saturday, April 9th, 2016, and will be held at the Oswego Wrights Landing Marina. They also request use of the launch ramp at the Wrights Landing Marina, use of public space for tents, and a porta potty, and there's an attachment. This is an annual event. We've done it for several years. It has become a tradition at the council that the senior members nominate our junior members to participate in the event. Councilor Todd was the one that started that when he nominated me and then bailed on his commitment to get there. So we held Councilor Todd and Councilor Enright to that the next year, and we've continued that. So at the council meeting, we'll be nominating one of you folks to jump in there with them. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I had one. I just had to ask in the correspondence we received, it had mentioned in an email from Cassandra Rucker, who's the chairperson to Lieutenant Sear at the Oswego Police Department. That they're going to reach out to the drive team. I'm assuming it's the dive team and ambulance. I was just wondering if there are any, is it overtime or is it just part of the regular cost? I didn't know with the dive team and all that. I've never been to one. So.
We did, when they had it 2 years ago, have a dedicated couple guys in the water, so it was overtime for those two as well as the standby ambulance. Now we'd probably just have the ones in the water and the on-duty ambulance be there.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Item number 3, the city's clerk's office has received a request from Elizabeth and Robert McGrath, owners of the Clubhouse Tavern, Spencer's Alley, located at 124-126 West 2nd Street, for use of public space for 4 parking spaces fronting their property on Saturday, July 30th, 2016, from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. in order to host the annual United Way Breakfast Stuffle Bus program. There's an attachment. Robert?
Folks, this is an annual event. We raise about $2,500 to $3,000 in 4 hours. We've never had any issues with the public. Clean up afterwards, put the parking spots back into use, and we're out of there by 1 o'clock.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 4, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from Rob Williams on behalf of the St. Lawrence Eastern Lake Ontario Partnership for Regional Invasive Species Management for permission to have a boat launch steward/educator at the public boat launch at Wrights Landing periodically through the 2016 summer season. Is there Commissioner?
This is something they've done in the past. It's pretty much the same thing as before, so I see no problems with it.
Thanks. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Item number 5, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from LTJG Andrew Roth on behalf of the Naval Sea Cadet Corps for use of the McRobey Building on February 27, 2016 to host a chicken barbecue fundraiser starting at 11 a.m. Also, LTJG Roth has requested use of the McRobey Building on various dates throughout 2016 for drills of Sea Cadet training. We've done this in the past as well. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take the motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
And item number 6, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from Charles Walters to replace a memorial bench with a new one in memory of his parents, Charles M. and Teresa R. Walters, that was originally placed in 1996 and is now in disrepair. Mr. Walters would like the new bench placed in the same location as the original bench, if possible, and that the memorial plate from the old bench be reused. That's pretty standard. We generally do this. Is there any questions or comments?
I was just going to say beforehand, maybe Commissioner Kells can talk to this, but I was asking about with the benches. From what I understand, now there's a plan in place that there's going to be uniformity in the benches that are put in the park. I mean, as it stands right now, you know, the dedicated benches are all different sizes, different colors, different shapes. Is that correct? I just wanted confirmation on that.
They are going to be uniform. There is some choices as far as color.
But uniform in respect that they're all going to be the same dimension, same size.
That is correct.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
I'd like to call the Planning Development Committee to order, please.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Gozick.
Here.
Counselor Corradino.
Approval of minutes for January 19, 2016.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Any old business? Seeing none, we'll go to new business. Mayor William Barlow Jr. received request from the Oswego County Department of Community Development, Tourism Planning for permission to plant 5 trees at brownfield sites. Is there anybody here to speak on that?
Thank you, Mayor, for getting us on the agenda so quickly. My name is Karen Noyes. I work for Oswego County Community Development Tourism Planning, and we recently received a grant for $187,000 to plant trees and shrubs on brownfield sites to uptake pollutants and as well as reduce erosion into the Lake Ontario watershed. We're working with the Atlantic States Legal Foundation, and they will be preparing the landscaping plans and working through the dynamics of site selection. We're looking at the former Hammermill site, the former Fitzgibbon site. We're considering sites along the Oswego Canal. Brightbeck Park was a site is considered as well. And we're open to other suggestions, and we haven't nailed down exactly where those sites would be, but we wanted to keep the committee abreast of what we're doing, and we'd like to work with the Oswego tree stewards on this process.
Thank you. I have one question. Who would be planting these trees? Do you have a company come in, yourself, the city of Oswego?
We plan to work with some volunteers, and we're working with the DPW is also will be very helpful if they're available, because we have about 600 trees and shrubs that we need to plant. The other site we're considering is along Lake Ontario, the shoreline next to the east side sewage treatment plant, and to the west along that shoreline.
Will it be, will you end up having a map or something so we'll know where what is impacted so that we can give some feedback as to
Hai Chow Wang is in the back row, and he's welcome to come up and speak about that. He will be preparing the landscaping plans, and they will be subject to review by the tree committee and whoever else wants to see them and comment. The idea is that we don't want to increase maintenance of those sites, so if we could plant them in a linear way, which would decrease, the amount of zigzagging and figure eighting you have to do with a mower. But we certainly want to take into consideration not increasing maintenance through mowing. Hi, Chow, would you like to speak? Or Sam?
I represent United States Legal Foundation, and I'm working on the planting designs for these sites. Right now, we're in the process of still selecting sites, and we're aiming at having all the planting designs by March. And by that time, you can review the designs, and if you approve, planting will happen this coming fall.
Will be a final approval or something before things are started?
Excuse me?
There'll be a final approval before things are started?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it also has to be approved by the Forest Service as well, because they're the grantee.
Well, my concern is that I don't want to have people complaining that we're blocking visibility to something they want to look at, whether it's the lake, you know what I mean? Or,
So I guess at this point, my question is, does the landscaping plan come back to the council for their approval, or is that something that the tree stewards would allow?
I would say, I haven't talked about this with our zoning and planning director, Amy Birdsall, but before it comes to council, I would say involve Amy, and if she's comfortable with it, then she can forward it to council. So.
Thank you, and Amy has been very helpful in picking sites as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions, comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Corradino? Yes. And we need a resolution?
Amy, can you do a resolution on that? Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to number 2. City Clerk's Office has received a request from Elizabeth and Robert McGrath, owners of Spencer Alley, located at 124 West 2nd Street, for a variance or permit to operate outside the decibel limits set forth with noise ordinance, and the order to have live music in their establishment Thursday through Sunday from May 27th through September 10th, 2016. Attachment. I know Mr. McGrath's in here.
Yes, again, this is our busy season. We probably generate 70% of our income during these months with music and outdoor activity. We've been doing it for 14 years. I know last year was a little heated discussion about it, but as the summer went on and ended, there were no complaints that I heard about, or I don't think my managers heard about, or the police chief. I can't speak for him, but I was never notified of any. I'm having some bigger bands. The bigger bands that played maybe later last year are playing earlier this year. At night, there's probably only going to be 4 or 5 pieces up there. We're toning it down a little bit. I put on a roof system, or the start of a roof system over the winter, which now that's going to allow me to hang some acoustic blankets up to suck up more of the sound than we have in the past 14 years. So it should be a big improvement.
Thank you, Robert. We do have one question here. On Thursday night, you got from 10 to 1:30 p.m. Is that a mistake? Because last year it was 6 to 10:30.
No, it really didn't work out. 6 to 10:30. So we're having a small, probably 2 or 3 piece bands from more people come out at 10 o'clock at night. It really didn't generate any money from 6 to 10. But I believe we had music from 10 to 1:30 last year also on Thursday.
Resolution on it, it didn't say that, so if we do it like same as last year, I think we'd all be happy with that.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has any questions or concern they'd like to speak about on this. Mr. Cordino?
And you mentioned, complaints or issues last season, right?
No.
And so what you're proposing is the same as last year, except for spending Thursday, is that correct? Yeah, I was on Thursday.
I thought we had music last year, Thursday nights from 10 to 1:30. I know I booked bands.
I'm looking at the resolution from last year, Thursday, 6 p.m. to 10.
Oh,
And you're asking now Thursday, 10 to playing them. So that, as I'm reading, that's the only thing that's different. Is that correct? From last year?
yeah, but we had music on Thursday night last year. I can get my calendar out, but I am asking to have music from 10 to 1 on Thursday this year.
So that is a difference from last year.
Yes, if you're telling me I didn't have it last year on my resolution.
Yeah, well, it's,
Okay.
till 10, it's 6 to 10 on Thursday. So that's a difference for this year.
Well, I got a question for the chief. Was there any complaints whatsoever last year? Even with that Thursday, if he says he did it that way, which he probably didn't know.
Chief, can you refresh everybody's memory as to in terms of how you measure decibel levels in terms of complaints?
When we receive a complaint, we get decibel readings with our volunteers. In violations, we have to comply with our down. We're asking to comply with the things we're asking to do. That's last year. We had to do it.
Any other questions, concerns? Mr. Becker?
I'd like to say this in a complimentary word to the owner. I made a survey down there when he was getting all the static from his neighbors over there. I didn't hear anything until I got down on 3rd Street. The music was suppressed enough. I didn't think it bothered anybody in the neighborhood. I even went over to West Park and had my ear out like this, and I thought he was doing a fine job. Why bother somebody that's being progressive and spending money here?
Any other questions, concerns?
I would just add also, I think it adds vibrancy to the downtown nightlife in the summertime. There's an excellent selection of music. And also, I think Mr. McGrath made concessions in the past, and I think that I would advocate for everyone to approve his request.
The only thing I would say is, and I think you mentioned this a little bit, in terms of the music selection on a Thursday night, in terms of lower volume music selections, I guess I'm more concerned about May 26th through June 27th, where kids are still in school at that time, and anybody that has residences in and around that time frame, you get kids that are trying. I'm not saying that they are being disturbed. I'm just asking for your consideration, especially during that month of time, in terms of your musical selections going that late at night.
My late night music in May and June is pretty much, it's pretty quiet because I really don't bring on any big bands until the teachers are out in the high school and the school system is closed down for the summer. Okay.
Any more questions, concerns? Take a motion.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Corodino?
Any new business, more new business coming before the committee? Seeing none? Adjourn?
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Corodino?
Okay, at this time, I will open the Administrative Services Committee. Please call the roll.
Counselor Corodino? Counselor Van Buren?
Here.
Counselor Reynolds? Here. Counselor Walker?
Here.
Counselor Emmons?
Here.
This time, I'd like to motion to approve the minutes from January 19th, 2016 committee meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
Counselor Corodino? Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Under old business, conversation. Number one, Mayor, Plunge gave Robert Jr. request a budget amendment to code enforcement. Mayor?
Thank you, Counselor. What I'm looking for is a budget amendment of $24,480. What this would be for is to hire a permit coordinator. I think we all, in one way or another, campaigned on the platform of being business-friendly, turning permit turnaround times. We need to issue permits quicker. We need to greet developers and investors when they come up to the third floor and help walk them through the process. And I feel that this permit coordinator is somebody who will, number one, revamp our rental permitting system. Number two, go after some of those rental permits, make sure landlords have their rental permits, and then also, perhaps most importantly, is walk them through the process of, what do you need if you come to City Hall, you want to do a project, you need a building permit or all the permits you need, the meetings you have to attend, and make sure they're in compliance through the whole process. This is a part-time job, and it would report to code enforcement. In the beginning, as you know, we're resurrecting a code enforcement office. We're also overhauling community development. And in the beginning, there's at least going to be some work. This person will report to Sue Deary, who is to be in charge of our code enforcement office. In the beginning, it'll need help from Amy Birdsall, who's our zoning and planning director. And I suppose there'll be a few kinks in the beginning, but the goal is to get this going now so that those kinks are worked out by the time the first construction season arrives later this spring.
The money's coming from the savings account at this time?
I would say, Counselor, if you're worried about money, last year, every week you have slips from the fire department in your mailbox that breaks down overtime hours, comp time hours, and the numbers, at least in my 2 years as a city councilor, the numbers that we have this year are significantly, by far, lower than any numbers I saw as 2 years as a counselor. So we're saving money in that department.
Any other questions?
Probably a question for Mrs. Code. You said that's coming from savings?
Yes.
What do we got left in that after this?
Well, it's the fund, so it's significant at this time. I'm just now doing the 2015 financial report.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, to the chair? I want to just ask, could you, excuse me, come up to the microphone? We're trying to do, just to let everybody know, we're trying to get everybody on the video and audio, so anybody has any questions, please come up and talk to the microphone.
Okay, my name's Bruce Holman. I live on Munn Street in Oswego. My only question is the permit coordinator you're going to get and making sure that the office knows what's going on. Is there going to be a written set of guidelines that can be provided to the people that come in for a permit so that they know exactly what they're getting and what they're paying for?
That's actually, Amy Birdsall has already done some work in that area about getting uniform forms. We need to, in my opinion at least, we need to be more clear and be better at communicating what needs to be done from the beginning. Another reason we're coming through with this now is so we can take that time before the construction season begins and put together almost like a folder that when somebody walks up, you hand them the folder, walk them through the process so it's clear and concise from the beginning.
Excellent. I think that's necessary because there's a lot of ambiguity between the department and the people that are getting permits. And it will certainly make it a lot better if they know exactly what they're getting and there's a check and a balance on the permit process. Thank you very much.
Through the chair. Mr. Mayor, I take it this is kind of like the first step towards rebuilding codes?
Yeah, that's correct. As I mentioned, Sue Deary, the city assessor, I mean, as you know, Counselor, she was almost acting as code director to begin with ever since code department went away. She's going to be the director, and then I'll be coming through with somewhat of my wish list here in the next couple of weeks, hiring code enforcers. So this is the first step, if you will.
Counselor Corodino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Item number 2, Mayor William J. Barlow, the mayor is seeking the support of the common council in launching the first phase of the city website project, creating a comprehensive approach in promoting the city of Oswego. The mayor has worked collaboratively and extensively with the community development director, Justin River, and the city attorney, Kevin Caracoli, in developing the first phase of the comprehensive marketing.
Thanks, Counselor. I'm looking for $25,280 for the first year. $22,500 of that is for website design. Obviously, in the 21st century, I personally believe that your web presence, your internet presence, is just as important as perhaps anything else. Obviously, if you've been on the city's website lately, I'm embarrassed of it. At this day and age, when folks are looking to come to the city of Oswego, if they have a hockey tournament here, we just had an ice skating tournament a couple weeks ago. The first thing you do is Google where you're going. At least that's what I do. And when the City of Oswego website pops up, it's not very impressive, in my opinion. I also, the second part of that is I think the website can be a serious form of communication that we can take advantage of that we aren't now. This website, as you see included in the notes, we're looking at Step 1, creative, a local firm here in Oswego. This website, and Shane Stepien from Step 1 is here to answer any questions. This website would be able to have my Twitter account, links to Facebook, for instance, my Billy Barlow, Mayor Billy Barlow Facebook. I know Nate has a Facebook. We can link all of those up. Also, websites, links to, let's say, the county website or, anything like that. Uploading documents for the public to review. Bill pay your bills online once we sort that out with the city chamberlain's office. And it'll just have capability. Interactive map is included. And obviously photo galleries and all of that good stuff. I'd also like to do profiles of, the mayor, department heads, counselors. And I just think it's really time to upgrade the website. And in the year 2016, $25,000 is pretty reasonable. I know that folks who've been on the council before have heard rumblings about other proposals that were significantly more expensive than this, so I think this is reasonable. I think it's imperative we use somebody local.
I wonder if we can have Mr. Stepien step on.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Billy. It's funny, 4 years ago, I stood here and actually presented the city brand, the new city logo that was adopted by the previous administration and the council at that time. And here I am 4 years later. Part of that discussion 4 years ago was to launch a new city website that would not only encompass that new brand and build equity with our city, but also put that face to our city. I just had an opportunity to speak the other evening as a panelist on the Solo Small Business Summit. And we talked about small businesses and how they're engaging, folks that are visiting our community and looking, at their storefront, so to speak, okay? And our storefront is that website, okay? That brand that the city projects is who we want to be. We're at a point now where I'm excited that the new administration is really taking an aggressive stance at using the website as a potential catalyst for a larger branding and marketing initiative. We have such amazing natural resources here. Obviously, I have a number of vendors that come in from Syracuse, and they ask if they can come down here for lunch because they want to take advantage of being able to see what we have here. We're not telling that story presently with the website that we have now. The website that was previous to that was embarrassment as well. This site will be an all-encompassing site, responsive, all the new technologies that obviously come with mobile phones, iPads, everything you can imagine, of course. Tourism is the key driver. The municipal part, obviously, is another big element of that. It has to be a local resource, not only for our residents, but as Mayor Barlow just alluded to those folks that are visiting us. I had an opportunity to sponsor a tournament this past weekend, Step One Creative, for the Girl Power Hockey Tournament. We had 330 young girl skaters in town with their family members, to the tune of probably 1,000 folks, maybe more, that were in town. That you're absolutely right. They would have loved to have had that opportunity. I think it would have been great to have been able to welcome them to the community, using that site as a forum, but also introducing them to all the great things that we have, the restaurants, our local businesses, and all the great things that we have here as well, and piggyback on some of the other great events that were happening this weekend and next as well. So it just becomes a key driver for what we need to do going forward with regard to our brand. So.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You may or may not know, but the Promotions, Tourism and Advisory Board spent about 7 months last year researching and studying a new city website.
Sure.
And I think if nothing else came out of that was some knowledge as a result of that process. So I have a couple questions related to that. One of the big things that we talked about as we were looking at vendors was security, the security of the website itself.
Sure.
And in this day and age in which there's multiple hacking attempts against municipal websites, security was certainly one of our most important features that we were considering as we were about to launch, I think, an RFP and do those sorts of things within the process. We never got that off the ground. Old administration, new administration. But that certainly was that was one of the things that was paramount on our list. Can you speak to a little bit about the security of the website, especially if we're going to go down the road of payment processing
Sure.
and having accessibility to city residents and their accounts and those sorts of things? It's one thing to have just a website, but if we're going to go down the road of actually doing stuff on it, can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Absolutely. Obviously, this is going to be a site that we're proposing as a phased, different phases. Obviously, it's an aggressive, timeline to really put a face and a look and feel to the site and get that out launched, and then bring in the potential of, again, online bill pays and for your taxes, water bill, whatever, and stuff. Obviously there is the importance of that security. What happens is those layers of security are built into the site, so it becomes almost an e-commerce site in the development of that platform. So there's an SSL encryption that's involved. It actually becomes a different layer, so it might be oswegonewyork.org, with the security element attached to that and stuff. So everything's factored in and built in. The security platform, of course, I can provide as part of the subsequent part of the proposal and stuff too, but it's all factored in. So.
Is that bill paying portion of it, is that something you would do, or is that a third-party vendor that you
No,
would
we're
work with?
proposing, there's a company called Swipe that we would propose that actually is basically one of the very more notable online credit card transaction companies. So basically you go out, you'd input your information, so now you're into another layer of security through their reputation, of course, as well. And then you could also, too, I know presently that we don't have that capability within the doing payment here within City Hall. You could actually do that too, where maybe within the clerk's office, they actually log into the website and could do it that way through Swipe or through that transaction, rather than having to incur an additional cost of bringing that in as another layer within the offices here and stuff. So a lot of that has to be obviously kind of thought through how it's going to work in conjunction with the system that will be put in place with Deb's office and everything. But the fact that we've never had it, and the fact that we are indeed in a 2016 is it's unfortunate. So.
I got two more questions, if you don't mind. One is walk us through the pre-process. Say you've gotten awarded. Help us understand the timeline in which you would use. Second question is kind of the opposite end of that. Help me understand, website it's built, looks beautiful, but you always need to have somebody maintain it. You always need to have somebody to update it. I've seen too many websites that get built that are big and beautiful, but yet they become obsolete the moment that they're done because there's nothing in place that allows for folks to keep up updating. I think you had a CMS management system as part of the proposal. Talk a little bit about that, but talk also about how do we get from where we're at today to what you envision.
First thing we do, and we've done a number of sites, the first thing we'd obviously do would be we'd build a site, what we call a site map, is basically the skeleton of the site. Okay, we look at the strengths of the existing site as far as what we want to include as far as information. So you're building header links, you're putting a look and feel, and you're really building almost a map of how this is going to play out and stuff. Then what happens is we start filling that content, okay? Each of those respective links has information. It could be department heads. It could be information specific to destinations here in Oswego. It could be links that link over to, maybe some of our other local resources, which are very strong. Visit Oswego, our friends, things like that, that have really established, themselves as really leaders from the standpoint of information resources. But the city of Oswego and our approach really should be one that is the driver of all that information. Great events that are happening that Heath and Chris put on through Friends, and those things, they need to market that just as much, but a lot of those events come with small budgets, of course, too. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull in the resources, pull in some great information. We're talking to a number of different folks, going to get feedback. I think the PTAB, obviously, the input and the information that you guys have gathered and really started to look at is going to be very useful. It's an aggressive timeline. We want to have this thing launched in April, okay? We're ready to do that. I've waited 4 years for that brand to take off, which it never did, so if we can get rolling on this is a catalyst for some of the other great things, that'd be great. With regard to the content management system, we actually designed and customized a content management system based around the design specifically to the Oswego website, okay? So I know there's other sites out there and there's other groups that are Civic Plus and folks like this that are coming at a much higher price tag. These are $60,000, $70,000 websites that, you can do a work order and it can go to, DPW heads, text him and say he's got to be over to the park to do something or whatever. We're going from the jalopy where we are now, that would be the Mercedes. We don't need that big of a jump because what we're providing at that $25,000 or $22,000 level enables you to add all those layers, as we see this administration and these department heads learn their jobs, of course, and stuff, and what works best for them as this continues to evolve and stuff. So the content management system it's almost like a Microsoft Word setup. You go into the respective pages, you go to a dashboard, those pages are there, you make the edit, you add a photo, you can add inputs, you can download PDFs, you can do anything you need. And quite honestly, we obviously maintain a number of sites on a regular basis for folks, but this would be something that, we have an unbelievable group of students out here in Oswego, fully engaged that, interns could learn this. We could have someone on staff that could learn this and have an interest and stuff. It's not very hard to make these updates, but the key is to make the updates. It has to become a resource that's, engaging, but also is indeed updated on a regular basis. So.
Okay, this is step one or phase one of the program. What other phases are there? And will phase one give us an updated, complete work website?
Phase one is really, you getting all the bells and whistles and stuff. The only thing that we didn't incorporate in this was the bill pay component, which honestly is probably to the tune of another $500 a year as far as your hosting goes. And then it would be your per transaction, and again, you'd have to look at it from a business model yourself. Like any credit card person that accepts credit cards in their business, there's a 2 whatever fee and maybe 30 cents per transaction and stuff. So you've got to kind of look how that works if someone does pay online versus they pay, across the desk, so to speak, and stuff. But this is going to give us a very complete and really an overhauled look and feel and everything that we can be proud of And the thing, too, I'll go back to is, you know, selfishly, I'm from Oswego, New York. This is my hometown. I've had the opportunity to grow a business, Step One, over the last 20 years here. We've done work with so many businesses. Our tourism experience is vast. Even before I started Step One, working with Ed Vaynard Associates up in Fulton, New York, with the County Department of Promotion and Tourism and Port Authority and so many different folks and stuff. So this is something that we're excited to really jump on and really excited that this is an initiative that the new administration is excited to take on as well. So.
I've got another question. Have you done any municipality website?
We're actually we're partnering with a group that does all of our programming. Okay, we do looks and feels. We work collaboratively like we would do. The gentleman's name is Matt Brockett. He's a small group like ourselves. He's done a number of different sites and stuff, as well as the hosting end of it on the site. They do Cornell. They do Cole. I mean, they're vast with regard to the relationships. Some of the examples I included in the proposal was the Mohawk Valley site in particular that really pulls in the destinations approach. We have so many, obviously, historical attractions and different things that are happening. We want to piggyback off the successes that we're seeing in town with the ORA and the quality of life that is really kind of taking a forward momentum and stuff. So while we haven't specifically done a City of Fulton or a City of whoever site, I don't look at it as, I look at every site as a brand new endeavor. It's a customized site specifically for you. We're pulling in the resources and the strengths of others in the community to make it, you know, the site that we need to project and stuff. We also have local photographers that we work with. We have folks that we partner with. A lot of the drone stuff that we've seen, I'm sure, on Facebook and stuff, all of that stuff is accessible to us to use. So we're really going to, it's really going to be neat to see how this really becomes a destination site. Solo at that small business said, you know, are we destination worthy? That was part of the discussion. Right now, we're not destination worthy. This site will enable us to be really, to tell our story, and we need to do that. So.
I've got one more, probably two-parter, and it would probably be more in line for the mayor. I was wondering, community development is funding this?
Coming out of the community development budget.
And is that a grant, straight grant?
No, it's just out of what we budgeted. Well, you voted against it, but what the 6 of the 7 councilors last year budgeted for the community development office.
Am I set? No. Steve? You're still, I think. In terms of the budget coming out of the Community Development Office, it's not coming out of the 6420 account, which is the $350,000 that the council allocated last year. What this primary funding is coming from is, as many of you know, there's been several grants that I've been able to successfully close out. There's been a lot of reimbursement coming back into the office in terms of admin fees and those kind of things. So a lot of those fees that I've been able to successfully reclaim that were owed back to the Community Development Office from years prior will be used as part of an investment moving forward for the cities. So this is not towards the allocation of the $250 for this year in 2016 or the $350 that came out, because that was really mostly for admin in terms of payroll and the existing expenses, and that's what it's being allocated for. So the $25,000 is really from the existing grant opportunities that I was able to successfully close out. Does that answer?
I'd like to make a motion, please.
Councilor Corradino.
Yes.
Councilor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councilor Reynolds. Councilor Walker.
Yes.
Councilor Emmons.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, going to item 3 under request for Brett. Amy Birdsall, planning and zoning director, request permission to send Sam Dyack, zoning code enforcement officer, and code enforcement officer to the to maintain his code enforcement officer certification. He is required to take 24 hours of training, and this conference will provide the courses necessary to fulfill this training requirement.
Any questions?
A question about the hotel request being in Liverpool?
Yes, is my understanding. So he'd be staying overnight 2 of the nights of the conference. In order, I guess the classes start early in the morning, is my understanding, and there are evening activities as well. And so he wouldn't be staying the night before, but he would be staying the 2 nights of the conference in order to get there in a timely fashion, as well as to be able to fraternize and network.
Any other questions? Seeing none?
Second.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
And we need a resolution.
Yes. Yep.
Item number 4, Amy Bursall, Planning and Zoning Director, requests permission to attend the New York Planning Federation Planning and Zoning Conference, April 17th to the 19th, 2016, in Saratoga Springs, New York. Conference will provide educational sessions regarding planning and zoning issues.
So yes, the conference is held by the New York Planning Federation, and it's fairly zoning and zoning administration related, and that is a lot of the job that I provide here for the city of Oswego is as zoning administrator, is to help put the applications together and walk applicants through the process and make sure that the boards have everything that they need in order to make adequate decisions. And part of my job as well is to help advise the boards on site plan review and zoning issues and that sort of thing. And so this conference provides a lot of great information to stay up to date on zoning issues, understand what current case law talks about, and it's certainly a benefit to the city of Oswego. So it is. This will be my first time attending this particular conference. It is an annual event. Correct. Yes, and this is more zoning related. I've attended a planning conference the past 2 years otherwise, but this conference is more zoning related.
Under miscellaneous, you have $185 for gas, right?
Mm-hmm.
You driving my truck?
It's just the mileage. It's the mileage calculation.
Okay.
I believe it's 340 miles or something round trip.
So you get
It's 54 cents a mile, I think, is the federal standard. How it's calculated.
I'll make a motion.
Counselor Corradino. Yes. Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. As this says, there's actually 2 courses in this training request. The same individual is going to both. He's a member of our special response team, as well as a general topics instructor. The game plan would be for him to go, obtain the information, and bring it back for both our special response team and our patrol personnel for their annual in-service. Because it's the training center, there's no cost in that, and also lodging.
Counselor Corradino. Yes. Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker. Yes. Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Item number 6, Jeffrey McCorvey, Fire Chief, is requesting permission to send the following personnel to the following courses. 1, personnel to the Fire Arson Investigation course to be held in Monterey Falls, New York, February 29th to March 4th, 2016, and March 11th to the 11th, 2016. 1, personnel to the Fire arson investigation course to be held in Rockport Falls, New York, on June 13th to 17th, 2016, and June 20th to 24th, 2016, and one personnel to the Timberlake Building Officials Educational Conference, March 13th to March 17th, 2016. Chief?
Thank you, Chairman. The first two arson classes are the same class. It's just that two members of our cause and origin team with their schedules can't make the same class. And that's to get their level 2 investigator, and we just retired out one of our level 2, so we're trying to stay proactive on that. And the third one is the guy that's actually in charge, the captain that's in charge of our fire inspections. He didn't get on with the last group because he was in New York City on his officer training. So it's a class that you approved some to go before. He's the captain that oversees it, and in 13 months, with him at the helm, we did 450 fire inspections, which by the charter is the businesses, public assemblies, and such.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino? Yes. Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor Walker? Yes. Counselor Emmons?
Yes.